I mean, they were just a brilliant team of people. Like, they were geniuses, some of them. They really, truly were. The brain power that went into this is staggering. No other word for it.
The jet that would go on to revolutionize the rest of the commercial aviation industry in a way that few others have. Built in the 1970s, this plane was produced by the French and English companies Kristall and the British Aircraft Corporation, better known as the BAC. Because of its sleek design and revolutionary delta wings, it halved the time it took to travel across the Atlantic, proving to be the first successful supersonic passenger jet. How the Concorde revolutionized commercial aviation.
It all started when the global war began to be the first to create a supersonic passenger jet. However, the United Kingdom and France realized that they wouldn't be able to win this war by themselves. So, on November 29, 1962, they both signed a treaty to work together on this near impossible challenge.
After several years of very hard work and clever innovations, the first Concorde finally flew on March 2nd, 1969. It soon picked up a lot of attention and was even seen as a social status, as its ticket prices soared to thousands of dollars. Large groups of people gathered to watch it depart every time it took off.
The Concorde cruised at a stunning Mach 2, or twice the speed of sound, and the incredible speeds that the Concorde could travel at allowed the important people in the world to make transcontinental travel a matter of a few quick hours.
But then we'd carry politicians. I mean, I've carried Henry Kissinger dozens and dozens of times. You carry the great classical musicians. Pavarotti is somebody I've carried many, many times. And then you'd have all the film stars. Paul Newman comes to mind. And of course the pop musicians as well.
Yeah.
So it was a sort of galaxy. It was always fascinating to look at a passenger list on Concorde because there were invariably a whole lot of household names that sprung out of that passenger list statue.
These speeds were achieved because of the amazing innovations that were involved in the Concorde, like its famous drooping, bullet-like nose and thin, large delta wings. The narrow nose of the Concorde made it incredibly aerodynamic, but to achieve such a pointed nose, it would have to be very long. This would have vastly obstructed the vision of the pilot when taxiing, taking off, and landing. So the makers decided to add the smart adjustment of creating a nose that could move and change position when needed. This allowed for the nose to droop down when close to landing to maximize the pilot's vision and lift up to significantly increase flight speed.
Another key factor that allowed the jet to go supersonic was its slender wings that could easily cut through the air. Because these wings were wider than the standard jet wing, the Concorde had much more stability and could take off and land easier. The thinness also helped the Concorde break the sound barrier because when approaching Mach 1, or the speed of sound, air pressure builds tremendously, and these delta wings allowed the Concorde to slice through the pressure and therefore break the sound barrier. This was no doubt the jet of the future.
It was incredibly easy to fly. Incredibly easy to fly. It was extraordinarily responsive. You could fly it with your thumb and your forefinger. If you trimmed it all up, you'd just take your hands off and it would just sort of sit there. It was absolutely outstanding.
However, the jet's high fuel burn rate and production costs made the Concorde a risky investment for Kristall and the BAC. In the long run, it was just way out of the budget and wasn't really worth it or affordable for the airlines.
Though this majestic plane was by far the fastest passenger jet, it suffered in many ways, like how inefficient it was, using way too much fuel for its size. Also, many countries banned the Concorde from supersonic flight over them, because accelerating past the speed of sound causes an extremely loud and disturbing sonic boom. Eventually, the Concorde would lose large sums of money every time it flew for many routes, leading to its slow and steady demise. Then tragedy struck. One of Air France's Concordes suffered a devastating crash on July 25, 2000, caused by this piece of scrap metal on the runway that would have destroyed any plane. This led to a tire bursting into flames and the plane crashing just yards ahead of where it had started.
The general public did not know the cause of this crash and assumed it was the Concorde that was unsafe, further limiting its success. Its reputation was also diminished because it crashed into a nearby hotel and led to 113 casualties. Also, each Concorde cost millions of dollars to manufacture, and there were only a few in circulation at the time. With its 4 large engines, the airplane used way too much fuel. This economically hurt Aristotle and the BAC with its investors. This ruined the Concorde's reputation, inevitably leading to its downfall. Because of its faults, fewer people ended up piloting the Concorde than even going to outer space.
Although the Concorde was not the success it was hoped to become, it influenced future aviation to be more economically aware and efficient, and its unique innovations surely didn't go unnoticed by future jets to come. This image depicts the Overture, the next supersonic jet. It is planned to fly by 2029. It will be improved in all of the ways that the Concorde lacked. For example, it will be more financially aware, minimize the decibel of its sonic booms, and be more fuel efficient. It will also include designs that prove to work for the Concorde, such as the delta wings and aerodynamics. Overall, the Overture will take the best from the Concorde and combine it with modern technology to create the plane of the future.
The Overture will bring supersonic travel back after 26 years, as there has been no flight since the Concorde. The Overture is advertised to cost a similar amount per person as a business class ticket, making it a better investment for the airlines and a more reasonable plane for people to fly on. In addition to being more reasonably priced, it will be using sustainable aviation fuels, or SAFs, to limit the carbon output.
Although the Overture is the only other well-known supersonic project, other subsonic planes are built with ideas that would not be as well known if not for the Concorde. The Concorde had horrible economics because of its massive amount of fuel usage, and companies such as Airbus used this information to take a plane that used way too much fuel for its size and turn it into a popular, profitable plane.
Although most planes in the market today have become more versatile and modern, it is still good to look at some of the game changers in the aviation industry. The great planes such as the de Havilland Comet, the Boeing 747, and the Concorde will all be remembered for their great innovation and uniqueness of their time. By looking at the speed of the Concorde, it is easy to see why the plane is so revolutionary, but you need to dig deeper to see its true, monumental consequences.
Twice the speed of sound, 1350 miles an hour, 23 miles a minute, mile in every 2 3/4 seconds, 10% faster than a rifle bullet, lands end to John O'Groats 24 minutes. Concorde.
Air travel as we know it today wouldn't have been as possible without the innovations and even mistakes of the Concorde to guide the following aviation in the right direction. The Concorde's influence spans from small economic adjustments in modern-day jets to plans for the future of air travel. The Concorde marked the start of a new era in the way we travel and is not done improving aeronautics and paving the way for for new supersonic passenger jets to come.